Hey guys, Ray from Love You RV. So I've been doing a lot of review videos lately, and I thought it's maybe time for a travel related video. Been a little short on those because we spent a long time this summer and last winter in Thunderbird RV Park, but we've been out traveling for a couple weeks now. I went to Buttle Lake Campground, a favorite of ours in Strathcona Provincial Park. And we've just spent the last 5 days here tucked in the forest near Parksville, British Columbia on Vancouver Island. Really nice forested campsite, not too far from town actually, but it's got a beautiful beach. But both of those I already have videos for, so I'll just link those in the description. I didn't think it'd be worth repeating. But today we're hooking up the old Blue Ram, and we're going to head across the island from the east coast over to the west coast to a beautiful spot, Pacific Rim National Park between Tofino and Ucluelet. Booked some days at Greenpoint Campground. I haven't been back there, must be 15 years. Back when I had a camper van, we used to head out there quite often and explore. So yeah, beautiful beaches out there, really nice campground. So we'll take you along and give you a look at that campground and the beaches out at Pacific Rim. Stay tuned. So to get to Pacific Rim National Park over here, we left Raft Trevor Beach Provincial Park and hooked onto Highway 4. Now this is a fairly curvy highway with a lot of hills, so if you're not used to that type of travel, it can be a little intimidating. When you come into here, before you get to this town of Port Alberni, there's what they call the hump, and you go up and over a large hill, and there's a couple fairly steep grades there. Then you cruise along this Sprout Lake, but it's once you get over here towards the coast that it really starts to get a little hairy. Along here it gets very windy. You can see follows this valley down here. And actually they're doing a bunch of construction. It's been going on for years, but they're blasting rock right along this lake here called Kennedy Lake. So I have a little footage of that. This is actually going back. The footage from was kind of a little bit better looking footage, so it can show you what's going on. So they're actually only allowing one-way traffic, and during the week they were actually closing it for 4 hours, so there can be a bit of wait right now. Once you get past that, though, you get out onto into the park here. Everything flattens out. Let's give you a different perspective here. Yeah, this is the road we came down. And then at one end is Tofino, and at the other end is Ucluelet. And in between is the Pacific Rim National Park for the most part. And this is where we camped down here at Greenpoint Campground. Now I have to stress, when I booked the campground, I hadn't been out there for 15 years. Back in my camper van days, and I couldn't quite remember the campground. You know, in a camper van you don't really pay attention to the size of the sites, but they actually were quite small, even though the site I booked told me that I could put 35-foot motorhome or 35-foot trailer. Now they must mean 35-foot total length, including the truck, because I have some footage on the ground and you'll see how narrow it was, and there was no way I could even get our fifth wheel into the site I reserved. Luckily enough, they had some emergency sites for longer vehicles, or I could have used the parking lot, so that was kind of nice. Anyway, here's the park brochure map, and in this video I'm going to take you and show you some of the more natural sites around. Up at this end there's Tofino, and it's nice kind of touristy little harbor town. Lots of little restaurants and shops, and there is along here quite a few kind of standard, commercial RV parks. But like I say, we stayed at Greenpoint here, so I'll show you some of the Greenpoint beach. We're going to visit the famous Long Beach, and I'll give you some footage there. Also went up and give you a little view from Radar Hill. Over here there's one of the highlights is a forest walk, and you walk through the old growth forests. Really pretty in there. And we also did a trip down to Ucluelet here, and I got out onto, they call it the Wild Pacific Trail, I think, and we went out by a lighthouse and give you a view of what they call the Broken Islands group over there, and a little bit along the harbor. So Basically, it's a lot of kind of a natural views of the area in this video. So grab a cup of coffee and enjoy. So here's basically what the campground looks like everywhere. Fairly narrow one-way loop. And then pretty narrow campsites as well. They go pretty far deep. So online they'll tell you, oh, you can fit a certain distance of trailer. Like ours said, up to 35 feet. Only thing is, when you're cutting in, it's a very narrow opening with trees on both sides. And some of them even have low-hanging branches. You can sort of see it here. Also, the ditches drop off quite a bit. So, you know, the photos look pretty good, but, you know, each side is a pretty sharp drop-off, so if you're trying to cut in to put a large trailer in them, the swing of the back end of the trailer, especially fifth wheel, you're going to be hitting trees on this side, very tight on that side, and then the front wheels of your truck are going to want to drop into a ditch. So it's doable, I guess, especially if you maybe had a really short box truck. Travel trailers can usually jack a lot better than a larger fifth wheel. It takes quite a bit of room to maneuver it in there. That one's not too bad. Doesn't have too many trees on the other side. Still pretty tight though. And there's quite a few that go back and then hook. So you'd be doing kind of an S maneuver to get in there. There's 11. That one doesn't look too bad. At least you don't have a tree right on this side. I don't know. Your best bet if you wanted to come out here with a larger motorhome or trailer would be to take a drive out, have a look at things before you come out here. Number 24, that's actually the one I reserved, and the photo looked pretty good. But like I say, I was right against that pole on this side, cutting in really sharp with the fifth wheel, and then I was getting jammed in over here, starting to get up near these branches, and I still wasn't going to make the turn. I was going to run into the branches, and then unfortunately my truck was right across over there and basically getting right into the weeds there. So tried 2 or 3 times and gave her up. Not worth ruining the trip. So here's the emergency. I guess they use it as kind of an overflow site that I was able to use, and it was no problem, of course, getting into. So I pull the truck up there, cut right by this garbage can, a big wide opening to get into, and then just put her back in the back there. So that was no problem. I'm sure glad they had that, or else we would have been heading to one of the more expensive commercial parks. If there was even an opening, might have been driving back. I guess the only problem with this site, they said it's not desirable because this is the highway back here. But we don't care when we're up here. We're more about having a decent site to get into, but mostly we're going to be day tripping around looking at beaches and things. That's why you come up here, not so much to spend that much time in your campsite. We went through Ucluelet, and we're right at the end of the point of land here, lighthouse down here, but we should have a nice view today. It's fairly clear. Should be able to look over at the broken island groups from here. Really beautiful view. This part of the coast is quite rocky and wild. There's the old lighthouse over there. believe those are part of what they call the Broken Islands group. A lot of people like to go over that area and do some kayaking around there. You can camp on some of the islands. Yeah, quite a calm day today. A lot of people come out here in the winter for storm watching. It gets quite wild. Here's a map of Ucluelet, and we were just down at this amphitrite lighthouse. We kind of walked along there and looked over towards Barkley Sound and the Broken Islands group. Now we kind of driven back through Ucluelet, and we're just taking a walk down at the boat basin, look at some boats. Across over here is actually a campground with some RV camping as well. So we'll give you a view of that. Looks like they have a little float house, patio, and grill down here. Lots of fishing boats. It's one of the few sheltered harbors on the west coast of Vancouver Island. Here's a sea lion. What a day. Don't usually get calm weather like this over on the west coast of the island too often. Got lucky. So across there is a campground in Ucluelet. Not too many large spaces. I remember camping there with our camper van one year. And I really remember that year because it was kind of just like a drizzle out, but if you walked outside the camper, you were instantly soaked. It was a wall of water. You can see a fifth wheel down below there. Lots of big fishing charter boats down here. Go out, catch the big salmon and halibut out there. Anne's looking around for a new boat or a used boat. She's trying to convince me into getting a liveaboard, maybe exploring the coast, RV on the water. There, we found the sea lions who are making the racket, hanging on a little wharf.
Oh, yeah.
Oh! He's big.
Oh, is that an echo or are there more answering over there? I think there's more. Is he in California? See, he looks really dark.
He's really dark. There they are. Yeah, I think maybe just got out of the water or something. Yeah, they really got that raft covered. You see all their little faces?
Yeah. Oh, they're so cute.
So this is actually a little inlet here and has history as a seaplane base. Royal Canadian Air Force Seaplane Base, World War II, profoundly changed Ucluelet, the Harbour was a hive of activity as large bomber reconnaissance flying boats launched submarine patrols. Oh, here's where we are here. They actually have a few dry camping sites along here. See, there's one guy in here. There's 4 or 5. If you don't mind a little bit of industrial, I think it's quite a nice view though. And there's a boat launch right here. So here we are in what's called the Rainforest Walk. There's a couple of loops through some old coastal rainforests. They built all these steps and walkways to make it a nice, easy path. This is cool. They built it out of an old big log. That's a biggie. Wow, so beautiful in here. Huge leaves on these plants. This massive cedar is 800 years old. Wow. Well, one thing, it's a bit of a workout because of the stairs. I think I read there's over 700 stairs. It's all very nicely built though. A lot of it looks pretty recent, so maybe they did a big restoration project on it. Wow, that was so cool. Well worth coming out and taking a hike here. It's not too long, even if you dawdle, maybe half an hour or so. Just a little bit of elevation change with all the stairs. So this is looking sort of northward towards Tofino. And if you look down there, right about there, kind of in the fog is Mears Island. And then down a little bit there is where actually Tofino's located. A little bit of ocean mist today. No wind though. Amazing. And then out that way is the Pacific Ocean. Not much to see over here looking towards the south. Over the trees, you can see some of the beaches down there. Long Beach. So here we are, this is the famous Long Beach on the west coast of Vancouver Island, where all the surfers come. Very close to Tofino. Lots of surfers out today, beautiful day. Not massive waves, but pretty good waves for them. It's a super long strip of sandy beach with the forest behind, rainforest behind it. Beautiful spot. So down that end, that's towards the south end. If I zoom in, you'll see the point of land that's called Green Point, and that's where we're camped, the campground down there. I'll take you down there later and we'll go down on that beach in front of the campground and maybe walk around on the rocks down there, give you a look. You can see the waters offshore are rich in nutrients. Lots of kelp forests out there. These big wads of kelp all tangled together wash up on the shore. As a kid, I used to whip these around and break the ball ends. So I just emerged out of those trees, walked down from the campground, only took about maybe 5 minutes at the most, and now I'm on the very, looks like the south end of Long Beach. Yesterday's footage was from us way down there where most people go. There's a huge parking area, and that's where all the surfers were, down at the very other end. Long way down, somewhere down there. And then here's the view of the Pacific Ocean rolling in. Not that many people down at this end because you have to walk all the way down. You can't come down from the campground unless you are staying there. It's for campers only. Anyway, this is the actual green point right here, so I'm gonna walk over there and up and over and give you a view down what they call Comer's Beach. What a gorgeous spot. Can't go down on the Oregon coast. This is pretty well as good up here. This is Canada's west coast. Big sandy beach. September 24th. We've had a good run of weather. About as good as it's going to get out here. Now that we've got a big storms coming in, lots of rain for the next days, so I think we're going to head back, go back on the eastern side of the island where it's not so much rain and wind. Been a good trip though. Back into the forest.